So the skylight in our fifth wheel let in a ton of natural lighting, which is amazing during the day when you want it. But at night, it also can let in street lights. They can let in the early morning sun when you might want to sleep in a little bit. And they let in cold air during the winter and a lot of hot air during the summer. So I'm attempting to make some skylight covers. I'm going to make it out of reflectix, and I've already started tracing out the size of my skylight on a piece that I had cut for a window incorrectly. And then, so I've traced out the size. I'm going to do that, and I'm going to cut some fabric the same size and sew them together and see if we can come up with a cover. Okay, so I've got my fabric cut out. I've got my reflectix underneath the fabric. And I'm just going to sew the fabric straight onto the reflectix, making the sides even with just a single straight stitch. Now I've done one side, and this stuff is a little bit finicky to sew with. It wants to slip all over the place, but as long as you go slow, it's not impossible to do. So I'll get the sides done, and then I'll be back. Okay, I got the fabric sewn to the reflectix, so this is now one piece. It's not perfect, but that's okay. I'm going to put the bias tape around the edges of it, and I'm going to use, oh, I don't remember what this is called, but it's essentially just a really thin double-sided tape, and I'm going to use it to help me keep the bias tape on halfway straight. Now I'm going to cut bias tape long enough for each of the four sides, and so each side individually rather than trying to turn a corner with bias tape. Okay, so what I did was I put the sticky tape on the inside of the bias tape like this, okay? And then I put the sticky side on the reflectix side because that's the side that wants to slip and give troubles. So I'm just going to finish taping all the way along this next bias tape and then peel the backing off right here as I go, putting it alongside. Okay, so I finished putting the tape all the way down this long piece of bias, but I haven't sewn it on yet. So all I'm doing is I'm lining up the bias, you know, front and back, and just pushing it to where the edge of the window covering gets as close to the seam of the bias tape as I possibly can. Then I'll start using the sticky tape and stick it down. Now you don't have to use anything like this sticky tape, but I find that it's just really helpful. It's like having another hand to help me hold all this without using pins to poke even more holes through my bubble wrap. Okay, I finished taping the bias tape on to the reflectix side. So now I'm going to flip it over. And what I'll do is I will just hold it as lined up as I can, and then I will do a straight stitch all the way down. So now that the window or skylight panel is done, what I need to do is figure out how to attach it to the skylight frame. So I'm going to use this hook side of Velcro, so the soft side, and I'm going to sew it in 4 places along this bias tape in the length of these Velcro command strips. This is what the package looks like. And then, once I've gotten 4 pieces of the hook sewn on and the command stuck to this, I'll pull the backing off the command and just stick it up to the skylight frame. And wherever the command strips hit, that's where they're going to be. So here's the skylight cover completed. I sewed on the hooks or the loop side of the black Velcro, and then I stuck the command strips to it. Now I'm going to peel the backing off the command strips, and I'm going to stick it to the frame of the skylight, which I've already wiped down with alcohol. So here's with the skylight cover in place. It definitely blocks out a lot of the light, and I'm sure it'll block out a lot of the heat come summer and keep some of the warm in come winter.